The luxurious Grand Meridian Hotel was known for attracting celebrities, politicians, and some of the wealthiest businesspeople in the country. Its crystal chandeliers sparkled like diamonds, and every corner reflected elegance and prestige. For Emily Carter, however, it was simply a workplace. At 24 years old, Emily worked long shifts as a waitress in the hotel's exclusive restaurant. While guests enjoyed meals worth hundreds of dollars, she spent her days carrying trays, taking orders, and smiling through exhaustion. Most customers treated her kindly. Some ignored her completely. A few looked down on her because of her simple uniform. Emily never let it bother her. What nobody knew was that she spoke 5 languages fluently. She had studied German, French, Spanish, English, and Italian while attending university. Financial problems had forced her to leave before graduation, and she took the first job she could find to support her sick mother. One rainy evening, the restaurant buzzed with activity. Managers rushed around nervously because an important guest had arrived. His name was Victor Reinhardt. Victor was a billionaire technology investor whose companies were worth billions of dollars. Newspapers described him as brilliant, ruthless, and intimidating. People feared him almost as much as they admired him. As Victor entered the restaurant, conversations quieted. He wore a tailored black suit and carried an air of absolute confidence. Emily was assigned to his table. She approached politely. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to the Grand Meridian. May I start you with something to drink?" Victor barely glanced at her. "A bottle of your best wine." "Certainly, sir." As Emily walked away, Victor noticed her simple uniform and tired shoes. He smirked. A few minutes later, she returned with the wine and poured it carefully. Victor was joined by 2 business associates from Germany. The men began speaking German, assuming nobody nearby could understand them. Victor leaned back and laughed. "Look at the waitress," he said in German. "She seems intelligent enough, but life clearly had different plans." One associate chuckled. "Perhaps she made poor choices." Victor shook his head. "Or perhaps she never had the ability to succeed." The 3 men laughed quietly. Emily heard every word, but she showed no reaction. Years of customer service had taught her patience. She continued serving nearby tables. Victor noticed her calm expression. He assumed she didn't understand. The conversation continued. "People like her dream about success," Victor said in German. "But dreams don't create billion-dollar companies." His friends laughed again. Emily carried plates past their table and remained silent. An hour later, the businessmen prepared to discuss an important merger. Victor opened his laptop. Stacks of documents covered the table. Suddenly, one of the German executives frowned. "There is a problem." "What problem?" Victor asked. "The translator isn't here." Victor checked his watch. The professional translator they had hired was stuck at the airport because of severe weather. The meeting could not continue without accurate translation. Millions of dollars depended on the negotiation. The executives exchanged worried looks. Victor became irritated. "This meeting cannot be delayed." "We have no choice," one executive replied. At that moment, Emily approached. "Would you like anything else, gentlemen?" Victor sighed. "No, unless you happen to know a German translator." The men laughed. Emily smiled politely. Then she answered in perfect German. "I would be happy to assist if necessary." Silence. Complete silence. Victor's eyes widened. The executive stared at her. For several seconds nobody spoke. Finally one businessman asked in German, "You speak German?" Emily nodded. "Fluently." Victor looked stunned. The same waitress he had mocked for over an hour had understood every insulting word. Heat rushed to his face. One executive quickly tested her with several complex business questions in German. Emily answered effortlessly. Then she translated the questions into English with perfect accuracy. The executive looked impressed. "Incredible." Victor couldn't believe it. "Where did you learn German?" "University," Emily replied calmly. "I studied international business and foreign languages." Victor suddenly remembered every cruel comment he had made. For the first time that evening, he felt embarrassed. The executives requested Emily's help. After receiving permission from her manager, she joined the meeting. For the next 3 hours, she translated contracts, technical discussions, and financial details. Her performance was flawless. Whenever confusion arose, she clarified complex terms instantly. The businessmen became increasingly impressed. Victor watched quietly. The waitress he had dismissed as unsuccessful was displaying remarkable intelligence. By midnight, the negotiations were complete. The merger was successfully finalized. Millions of dollars had been saved. One German executive stood and shook Emily's hand. "You were exceptional. Thank you." Another executive added, "You possess skills that many professionals lack." Emily smiled modestly. "I appreciate that." Then everyone looked toward Victor. He remained seated. For the first time in years, the billionaire struggled to find words. Finally he stood. "Miss Carter, may I speak with you privately?" Emily nodded. They stepped onto a quiet balcony overlooking the city lights. Rain drizzled softly outside. Victor looked uncomfortable. That alone was surprising. People rarely saw him uncertain. "I owe you an apology," he said. Emily remained silent. Victor continued. "I assumed your job defined your intelligence." "You judged me," Emily replied. "Yes. And you mocked me." Victor lowered his eyes. "Yes." She looked at the glowing city below. "I've learned something while working here." "What?" "The people who have the least often show the most kindness." Victor absorbed her words. They struck harder than any insult. For years, success had convinced him that wealth measured worth. Tonight he had been proven wrong. "I was arrogant," he admitted. Emily nodded. "At least you're honest." Victor laughed softly. "You know, nobody talks to me that way. Maybe that's part of the problem." For a moment he simply stared. Then he began laughing genuinely. It was the first sincere laugh he had experienced in weeks. The next morning, Emily arrived for work expecting life to continue as normal. Instead, the hotel manager rushed toward her. "Emily, what happened? You need to come to my office." Concerned, she followed him. Inside sat Victor Reinhardt. Emily froze. Victor stood. "I hope I'm not causing trouble." The manager quickly shook his head. "Quite the opposite." Victor handed Emily a folder. "What is this?" "An offer." Emily opened it. Her eyes widened. The document offered a position as an international communications consultant for one of Victor's companies. The salary was more than 4 times her current income. She stared at the number in disbelief. "Is this real?" "Very real." Emily looked up. "Why?" Victor smiled. "Because talent should not be ignored." She studied him carefully. "Is this because you feel guilty?" Victor considered the question. "Partly." He smiled. "But mostly because you're exactly the kind of person my company needs." Emily remained silent. Victor continued. "Last night you demonstrated intelligence, professionalism, patience, and character." He paused. "And unlike me, you treated people with respect." For a moment, Emily thought about her mother, the unpaid medical bills, and the future she had almost given up on. Then she smiled. "I accept." Victor extended his hand. She shook it. Months later, Emily became one of the company's most respected consultants. Her language skills helped secure international partnerships across Europe. Meanwhile, Victor underwent a transformation of his own. He became known for treating employees differently. Managers noticed he listened more and judged less. One day, during a company conference, a young intern accidentally spilled coffee on his expensive suit. Everyone expected Victor to explode. Instead, he smiled. "It's okay." The room was shocked. Later, a colleague asked what had changed him. Victor thought of a waitress in a hotel restaurant. A woman who had answered arrogance with dignity. A woman who had taught him a lesson no business school ever could. He smiled and replied, "I learned that intelligence doesn't wear a price tag." And somewhere in the audience, Emily smiled too. Because sometimes the most powerful response to disrespect is not anger. Sometimes it is simply proving someone wrong.